This is Clockwork Knight 2 for the Sega Saturn. And as I stated in my previous video, I basically find these sorts of games an extremely guilty pleasure. And this game is no exception. I have a huge love for this game and its first game. Basically, if you played the first game, this game is more of the same. But is that necessarily a bad thing? Because I don't really think so. There's a lot of fun to be had with Clockwork Knight 1 and 2. There's not really a lot to say, if I'm honest. The Model 2 controller comes in really well for this game. I did try it with the 3D analog controller and it doesn't work, but the Model 2 controller and Model 1 controller are some of the best controllers I've ever used, so the controls are really solid, the gameplay is really solid, it's just a really solid platforming game. That's all I can really say. And would I recommend you to go buy a copy? Of course I would. It's fairly cheap to get hold of. I am actually playing the Japanese version because I find that obviously getting imports seems to be a lot cheaper than buying English games. For some reason, the transfer of funds or like value is completely different. For imports it's fairly cheap, for me anyway, and for the original English ones are far more expensive. So I try to kind of steer clear from them, and besides the Japanese games come in a normal CD case, whereas the normal English Sega Saturn games come in like a cardboard case. They really dropped the bombshell for the cases for the Sega Saturn, because I think Sega Mega Drive cases could survive an atom blast, if I'm honest. I think they would survive in the Fallout universe, personally. So getting Japanese imports for me is a lot cheaper than buying them on their original PAL format. So I would recommend picking up a copy of this. I did say pick up a copy of the first one as well, hint hint. But yeah, it's a fun game, lots of stuff to be had here. So go out there and find yourself a copy.
What could possibly go wrong?